Have you ever noticed how your mind races the moment you wake up? Before your feet even touch the floor, 1,000 thoughts flood in. Notifications buzzing. Deadlines waiting. The weight of expectations. It's as if life starts sprinting the moment your eyes open, and you're already behind. You hit snooze, scroll your feed, chase the next urgent thing, and just like that, the day owns you before you've even claimed it for yourself. But what if you could start differently? What if you could step into your morning not as a slave to circumstance, but as a quiet commander of your own life? The Stoics believe that how you begin shapes how you live. That your morning is not just a habit, it's a battlefield. And the first battle is always within. We are currently giving away a free ebook, 12 Stoic lessons that will change your life. To receive your gift, simply follow the channel and leave a comment that says, "I have followed," or "I would like to receive the gift." We will reply with the download link directly below your comment. Today, we're going to explore 11 powerful lessons to discipline your mind each morning, backed by ancient wisdom and real mindless world practice. If you stay with me through the end, you'll walk away with a practical blueprint to master your emotions, sharpen your focus, and wake up with purpose. Let's begin with silence. Lesson 1: begin in silence. Before the sun rises, before the world demands a single thing from you, there is a brief moment. Pure, unclaimed, fragile. And in that moment, the Stoics taught us to do one thing: nothing. Not out of laziness, but out of deep intention. 3 minutes. That's all it takes. No phone, no talking, no stimulation. Just sit. Breathe. Be. Because the mind, like water, is clearest when still. And in those first few minutes of waking, your brain is most impressionable, like wet cement. What you pour into it will shape the entire foundation of your day. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Stillness isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. A mental reset button. Modern science agrees. Just a few minutes of morning silence activates your parasympathetic nervous system, calming stress, lowering cortisol, enhancing focus. You begin not with chaos, but with calm. Adam, a startup CEO I once met, shared his secret. Every morning, before checking email, before the day begins, he sits in the same chair, closes his eyes, and breathes deeply for 5 minutes. No mantras, no apps, just silence. He told me, "I don't do it to feel spiritual. I do it to remember this is my day. The world doesn't tone it yet." That's the essence of inner discipline. Because if you can sit quietly with yourself, even just for a moment, you're already winning a battle that most people don't even know they're fighting. So tomorrow morning, before anything else, try it. Sit in silence. Close your eyes. And just be. No judgment. No goals. Just presence. Because a mind that starts steady stays steady. And once you begin your day grounded in stillness, you stop reacting and start responding with clarity, not impulse. And if this message moved you, share it with someone who wakes up feeling overwhelmed. You might just help them reclaim their peace. Choose your daily virtue. When you wake up in the morning, the world has changed. But you have one powerful new opportunity, the chance to choose who you will be today. In Stoic philosophy, there is one concept more valuable than fame, wealth, or success: virtue. Seneca once said, "A good character, once established, is not easily overthrown." To the Stoics, virtue isn't just moral goodness. It's mental clarity, emotional strength, direction. It's not a word carved in stone, it's a compass you carry in your pocket. And if you want to train your mind, truly discipline your inner world, this is the step you cannot skip. Every morning, ask yourself one simple question: what is my virtue for today? Just one. Patience, courage, discipline, compassion, temperance, honesty. Whatever you choose, carry it like armor through the day. Because when life tests you, and it will test you, that virtue becomes your anchor, your filter, your guide. Let's say you choose patience. You're stuck in traffic. Someone cuts you off. Your meeting runs late. Instead of letting frustration take over, you pause. You remember, I chose this virtue this morning. This is the moment I practice it. You breathe. You slow down. You return to yourself. That is training the mind, not in theory, but in real life. Because Stoicism isn't about ideas. It's about action. It's about being aware enough to say, I won't be dragged by emotion today. I will choose how I move. When you name your virtue each morning, you give your mind an North Star, a focus point, a purpose. Without that, you drift. You scroll endlessly. You react instead of respond. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, if you were suddenly told you were going to die today, how would you live? How would you think? What would you choose to value? That's not morbid. It's clarifying. Because if today were your last, wouldn't you want to live it deliberately? Choosing a daily virtue brings you back to deliberate living. No more sleepwalking through the hours. You become the sculptor of your character, one small choice at a time. So tomorrow morning, try it. Write down just one word, one trait, one virtue, and then live it. Through every conversation, every challenge, every breath. At night, ask, did I live up to it? Where did I struggle? Where did I rise? That's how we grow. That's how we sharpen the blade. And if you fail, good. You try again tomorrow. This is not about perfection. It's about persistence, integrity. The kind that's built not in grand moments, but in the invisible choices no one sees. Because the Stoics believe that greatness is not what you do once. It's what you practice daily. Premeditation of adversity prendit adeo malorum. You wake up feeling good. The sun's out. You've got plans. Maybe even a little momentum. Then your internet crashes. Or someone cancels on you. Or a message arrives that throws your mood off balance. Suddenly, that centered mindset you woke up with disappears. You're reacting. Frustrated. Distracted. This is where most people lose control of their day at the first sign of unexpected difficulty. But not the Stoics. They had a different approach. A mindset called premedit adeo malorum, the premeditation of adversity. It means this: before the chaos arrives, you prepare for it. You mentally rehearse it. You expect things to go wrong not because you're pessimistic, but because you're wise. Seneca put it simply. Fortune falls heavily on those for whom she is unexpected. The Stoic doesn't pretend life is smooth. The Stoic prepares for it to be rough and strengthens themselves ahead of time. Here's how you do it. Each morning before diving into your routine, ask, what could go wrong today? What distractions might arise? Who might test your patience? What setbacks could hit your plans? Visualize them clearly. Picture the email that never comes, the meeting that goes sideways, the bad traffic, the delay, the frustration. Now, ask yourself, how will I respond? You're not predicting disaster. You're building resilience. Modern athletes do this too. It's called mental rehearsal. They don't just imagine victory. They imagine missing shots, getting fouled, falling behind, and they rehearse how to respond. Why? So when the real moment comes, they're ready. Calm. Unshaken. You can do the same. Picture your challenge. Rehearse your mindset. Say to yourself, if this happens, I will remain grounded. I will stay in control. Because the truth is, most pain comes not from the event, but from our surprise at the event. If you expect the hard moments, they lose their power over you. One founder I worked with makes this a morning ritual. Before opening Slack or email, he grabs a sticky note and writes, things may break today. People may disappoint me. Plans may fall apart. But I will remain calm and responsive. That's not weakness. That's strength. That's training. So tomorrow morning, take 3 minutes. Practice premedit adeo malorum. And when something does go wrong in it, well, you'll be the one person in the room who doesn't flinch, because you already knew it might happen. And now you're not reacting emotionally. You're responding with clarity. That's discipline. The circle of control. What steals your peace in the morning? Is it the tension of what might go wrong? The fear of what people might say? The avalanche of two-minus thoughts that feel out of your hands? We often wake up already tired, not from physical exhaustion, but from mental overreach. We try to control too much. But the truth is, most of what agitates us never belonged to us in the first place. The Stoics understood this better than anyone, and they built their entire philosophy on a line. A single, clear line. The line between what you can control and what you can't. Everything outside that line, let it go. Everything inside it, that's your domain. Epictetus said, some things are up to us and some things are not. Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle: some things are within our control, and some things are not. This isn't abstract philosophy. It's the key to mental clarity. Each morning, before the world spins you in 10 directions, stop and draw your line. Literally. On paper. In your mind. In your breath. What is in my control today? My choices. My reactions. My words. My effort. My values. What is outside my control? Traffic. Other people's opinions. The news. The past. The final outcome of my efforts. Now think about that. Really sit with it. Because if you live like this day by day, you start to build something no one can take from you, a fortress within. Imagine you are preparing for a big interview. You can't control who else is applying. You can't control the interviewer's mood. You can't control the final decision. But here's what you can control. Your preparation. Your presence. Your tone. Your mindset. You can walk into that room steady, not because you know the result, but because you've mastered your role. That's Stoicism. It's not about being indifferent. It's about being intentional. It's choosing to spend your energy on what is yours to shape and releasing the rest with dignity. Because when you cling to what you can't control, you suffer twice. First from the event, and again from your resistance to it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, even obstacles are neutral. What matters is how you meet them. So if the flight is delayed, breathe. If someone insults you, observe. If things go off track, adjust. The Stoic doesn't collapse when plans change. They adapt because they trained their mind to see the difference between life and their expectation of life. Each morning, this becomes a discipline. Grab a journal. On one side, write, "Today, I will control." And list your intentions. On the other side, write, "Today, I will let go of." And name the things you're no longer going to waste your energy on. This is your mental blueprint. This is how you stop letting external chaos write your internal story. Because the world will always be unpredictable. But yeah, you can be prepared, center-grounded. That's what it means to live like a Stoic, not to control everything, but to master your response to everything. And in that response, you build your freedom. Action before emotion. There's a trap almost everyone falls into, especially in the morning. We wait. We wait to feel ready. We wait for the right energy. We wait for motivation to strike lightning. And while we wait, life slips by. 1 hour at a time. One excuse at a time. How many mornings have started with the promise of doing something only to be swallowed by indecision or inertia? You think, let me wake up a bit more. Maybe after coffee. Maybe once I feel it. But that feeling never comes. Or if it does, it arrives too late. Here's a truth the Stoics knew deeply. Action must come before emotion. They understood something modern neuroscience is only just proving motivation doesn't precede action. Action creates motivation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being." Let that line sink in. Not to achieve, impress, or conquer, but to do the work of a human being. To move, to live, to act. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you feel. It matters what you do with your feelings. The Stoics didn't teach indifference. They taught transcendence, using reason to rise above your moods, your fears, your impulses. And it begins the very moment you open your eyes. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Julian, an artist, struggling with discipline. For years, he waited for creative inspiration before painting. Some mornings, he'd stare at the canvas for hours, doing nothing. Others, he wouldn't enter his studio at all. Then one day, he read a line by Epictetus. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. It struck him. So he made a decision. From that day forward, no matter how he felt, he would step into his studio at 7 a.m. Pick up a brush, and begin. Even if it was just a single stroke. He called it the ritual of one mark. No emotion. No excuses. Just movement. And something changed. Not just in his art, but in him. He stopped being a victim of inconsistency. He became the creator not only of paintings, but of habits, structure, and self-respect. Why? Because he acted before emotion had a chance to negotiate. This is the mental discipline the Stoics lived by. They didn't wait for fate. They move. Because the moment you hesitate, the moment you pause to decide how you feel, your mind will drag you into distraction. It will tell you, you're tired. You're not in the mood. This doesn't matter anyway. And if you listen to it, you reinforce weakness. But if you move, if you rise, wash your face, open a book, take a cold shower, go for a walk, you tell your mind, I live. You follow. Every small action is a declaration of who you are. It doesn't need to be loud. You don't need a 10-step morning routine, a perfect journal, or a green smoothie with ashwagandha. You need movement. And you need it before you feel like it. Because that is the key. The body leads the mind. Think about the last time you went for a run when you didn't want to. How did you feel after? You didn't just feel better physically, you felt mentally stronger. That wasn't a coincidence. It was chemical. Movement releases dopamine. Dopamine builds momentum. And momentum creates identity. You don't just do the thing. You become the person who does the thing. The Stoics weren't superhuman. They were practiced. And every day, they began with action not as a goal, but as a foundation. It's how they built their composure, their clarity, their presence. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his meditations from a place of ease. He wrote them on battlefields while running an empire under immense pressure. And yet, his words still echo. Don't waste what remains of your life in speculating about others, unless you are doing so with a view to some mutual benefit. Instead, be concerned with what nature demands of you now. No, not later. Not when it feels convenient. No. So what does this look like in practice? It means you don't wait to feel productive. You open your laptop and begin. It means you don't wait to feel peaceful. You sit in silence, even when your thoughts are loud. It means you don't wait to feel healthy. You do 5 push-ups, 1 stretch, 1 walk around the block. No act is too small when done within 10. That's the secret no one tells you. The mind resists, but the body obeys. And once the body moves, the mind follows. This is why every morning, the Stoic begins not with reflection, but with motion, with rising, with action. Because to wait is to give your power away. To act is to reclaim it. And that act? It builds momentum. It creates a pattern, a rhythm, a life. Soon, your mornings no longer depend on how you feel. They depend on who you decide to be. And when you wake up each day as that person again and again, you forge the kind of unshakable identity that no chaos can disrupt. So here's your challenge. Tomorrow morning, don't wait. Don't bargain with your feelings. Don't check how motivated you are. Just move. Even if it's 1 small step. Because that step is your power. That step is your training. That step is your rebellion against a world of passive drifting. And that step is how you win the day before it begins. Memento mori, wake up to the truth of life. There's a truth we all know but rarely face. You will die. Maybe not today. Maybe not for decades. But one morning, you won't wake up. No alarm. No light through the curtains. No to-do list. No more "I'll get to it tomorrow." Just silence. And while this thought may seem grim, the Stoics believed it was the most powerful idea you could carry into your morning. They called it memento mori, remember, you must die. Not to make life darker, but to make it brighter. Because when you face the finitudes of life, you begin to truly live. Seneca once wrote, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." In other words, we panic about little things, yet delay the big things as if we'll live forever. But we won't. And deep down, you know this. So the real question is, how will you live now that you remember? Most people spend their days as if they were infinite, rushing through mornings, numbing their discomfort with noise, postponing the conversation, postponing the dream, postponing themselves, until one day they run out of mornings. The Stoics refused to let that happen. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This wasn't a metaphor. It was instruction. Each morning, imagine for just a moment, what if this were your last? How would you speak to your loved ones? Would you scroll your phone for 45 minutes? Would you worry about petty things? Or would you be present? Focused? Grateful? There's something sobering, unsacred about starting your day with that awareness. You stop rushing. You stop postponing what matters. You start choosing actions you won't regret. A young woman named Leal once shared her story. She had a strained relationship with her father, years of silence, misunderstandings, small grudges that grew into wide silence. One morning, she stumbled across a quote, "Don't wait. The time you think you have may not be yours." That day, she called him. The conversation was short, awkward, but real. 3 weeks later, he passed away unexpectedly. And in the middle of her grief, she said, "I don't regret how it ended. I'm grateful I acted, because I would have carried that silence forever." That's memento mori in action. It doesn't paralyze you. It liberates you. When you remember death, you stop fearing discomfort. You stop chasing perfection. You start acting from the heart. The Stoics weren't obsessed with dying. They were obsessed with not wasting life. So what does this look like in your morning? It looks like waking up and whispering to yourself, "I may not get another morning. Let me treat this one like a gift." Writing one line to someone you love. Pausing to watch the light shift through the window. Drinking your coffee slowly. Taking a walk not to burn calories but to feel alive. It also looks like confronting your fear. You fear embarrassment? Say the truth anyway. You fear failure? Take the risk anyway. You fear discomfort? Lean into it, because you only get so many chances to stretch your soul. And every morning you wake up, you're given one more. Don't waste it on autopilot. Don't waste it arguing about things you won't remember in a week. Don't waste it waiting for the right time. This is the right time. And if it were your last, wouldn't you want to go out fully present? Fully expressed? Fully you? A Stoic lives with the end in mind, not to dwell in sadness, but to elevate their standards. They ask, am I living in alignment with my values? Am I saying what needs to be said? Am I loving like there's no guarantee of tomorrow? Because there isn't. And that's not a reason to despair. That's a reason to wake up. Most people drift through mornings like sleepwalkers hitting snooze on their own alibies. But you've been given this message, this reminder, this moment, and that means you're irresponsible for how you use it. So tomorrow, when your eyes open, before anything else, breathe in this truth. I am alive, but I am not promised another day. So let me live this one all the way through. Speak with love. Move with courage. Choose what matters. Because someday, someone will speak your name for the last time. The story of you will come to a close. But until then, until that final breath, you are the author. Make it a story worth rereading. Ever fat, I embrace everything that happens. You wake up, and within minutes something goes wrong. The power flickers. You spill your coffee. Someone sends a frustrating message. The weather turns dark and heavy. Your instinct. Why me? It feels like the day has turned against you. Like the universe is pushing you off center. And before you know it, your whole mood shifts, all because one thing didn't go the way you wanted. But what if that inconvenience was a mistake? What if the discomfort was meant for you? What if the interruption was not an obstacle but a lesson? This is where one of the most profound ideas in Stoic philosophy comes in. Amor fati. It means love of fate. Not just accept what happens. Not just tolerate it. But to love it. Actively. Deeply. Willingly. To look life in the eye even when it punches you and say, yes. Good. I will use this. Nietzsche wrote, my formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Imagine that. Wanting every part of your life, even the painful, the inconvenient, the unwelcome. That's not passivity. That's power. To say, I will not resist what is. I will integrate it into my strength. The Stoics lived this way. Because they knew every moment, every difficulty, every loss is raw material for becoming who you're meant to be. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Theo. Early in his career, he was offered a promotion that he believed would change everything. He worked for months, sacrificed weekends, prepared presentations. Everyone around him said the job was his. But when the time came, the position went to someone else. He was crushed, embarrassed, angry. He considered quitting, blamed politics, spent weeks drowning in resentment. Then, one morning, he picked up Meditations and read this line by Marcus Aurelius. Whatever happens to you has been waiting to happen since the beginning of time. He paused. Read it again. And something clicked. Maybe this was the punishment. Maybe it was an opening. So he stayed. Recommitted. Took on a side project no one wanted. 6 months later, that small project turned into a breakthrough. He was offered a bigger role than he originally aimed for. But more importantly, he was different. Stronger. Calmer. Brilliant. He stopped asking, why didn't this go my way? He started asking, what can I do with this? That's amor fati in real life. It doesn't mean you smile through tragedy or pretend pain is pleasant. It means you turn toward reality, not away from it. You move with the flow, not in spite of it. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That line is more than a quote. It's a worldview. The broken plan becomes the start of a better one. The betrayal becomes the test that reveals your resilience. The loss becomes the teacher that no comfort ever could be. Life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you if you let it. But here's the catch. You don't just remember amor fati when things fall apart. You practice it every morning. It's a mindset you bring into the day before the first challenge arrives. You wake up and say, whatever comes, delays, silence, friction, I will greet it as a gift. I won't flinch. I won't complain. I'll adapt. Because if it's in front of me, then it's mine to work with. This doesn't mean you stop striving. It means you stop resisting. You stop wasting energy on how it should have gone. You start pouring energy into how you will respond. That is real freedom. Think about your last frustrating moment, big or small. Did you curse it? Fight it? Replay it over and over? What if you had smiled not from joy, but from acceptance? What if you had whispered, this is part of the path. This is shaping me. That smile changes everything. You take back your power not by controlling the world, but by alchemizing it, by making everything fewer, even the things you once wished away. A Stoic doesn't need life to cooperate. They don't need ideal circumstances. They only need one thing, the mindset to use everything. That's amor fati. It's the discipline of saying, I will not argue with life. I will dance with it. I will not wish for ease. I will become equal to the challenge. I will not wait for perfection. I will turn what is into what can be. So here's your practice. Each morning before the day reveals its mood, write this line in your journal. Whatever happens today, I will love it. Not because you enjoy chaos, but because you're retraining your mind to remain sovereign. To move like water. To absorb like the earth. To rise like fire. Because you are not here to be fragile. You are here to become. And life, in all its randomness, is your partner in that becoming. So tomorrow, when something doesn't go your way, don't fight it. Smile. Nod. Say amor fati. And move forward wiser, calmer, and more powerful than before. Move the body, train the mind. The Stoics believed in strength not just of thought, but of form. They knew that a disciplined mind cannot fully thrive in a neglected body. That the two are not enemies, or even allies, but extensions of one another. Mind and body are not separate systems. They are one human instrument. So when the sun rises and your thoughts are scattered, when your mood is heavy and your clarity is missing, don't look for a miracle in your phone or your planner. Move. Not because you want to look a certain way, not to punish yourself, but to return to yourself. Because movement is medicine, mental, emotional, and spiritual. The ancient Stoics practiced this. Epictetus, once enslaved, limped from a physical injury, but still taught the importance of using the body wisely, intentionally. He wrote, difficulties are things that show a person who they are. How do you show who you are if not in action? Marcus Aurelius, even as an emperor, trained his body every morning with military discipline. He didn't do it for appearances. He did it because he understood something we forget. The body trains the mind by example. Every step, every breath, every repetition is a signal to your inner self. I follow through. I finish what I start. I can do hard things. And that message echoes into every part of your life. Let me tell you about Clara. Clara was an overwhelmed creative working from home, battling inconsistency, anxiety, and foggy mornings. She tried everything. Journaling, affirmations, breathwork, but her mind kept slipping into old loops. Then one day, her therapist gave her this advice. Don't fight your thoughts with more thoughts. Sweat them out. So the next morning, before touching her phone, she laced up her sneakers and went outside. Just 10 minutes. Just walking. At first, her brain protested. Too early. Too tired. But she kept moving. And slowly something shifted. The tightness in her chest softened. The ideas in her head started flowing. And for the first time in weeks, she felt alive. That small act became her anchor. Today, she starts every morning with a 20-minute walk, rain or shine. She calls it reclaiming my mind through my feet. That's the hidden gift of physical motion. It brings you back to presence. When you move with intention, you stop ruminating. You stop drifting. You become real again. And the science backs this up. Just 15 minutes of moderate movement in the morning boosts dopamine, the motivation chemical, serotonin, the mood stabilizer, BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which enhances memory and focus, cortisol regulation, lowering stress for the rest of your day. In other words, moving your body is not just a fitness tip. It's neuromerical alchemy. It clears the mental fog, resets the emotional thermostat, primes your willpower, and yet we treat it as optional. The truth? If you want to discipline your mind, start by disciplining your body. It doesn't take hours. It doesn't take fancy equipment. You don't need to feel like it. You need to move anyway. Because in those first 10 minutes, you begin to remember something vital. You are not your mood. You are your motion. That shift is everything. When your feet hit the floor with intention, your excuses lose their power. When your heart rate rises, your doubts get quieter. When you break a sweat, you break the loop. And suddenly, your mind feels different, not because you thought different, but because you move differently. The Stoics would have called this embodied virtue. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And what better way to escape that imagination than to return to the body? So tomorrow, before the day begins, make a commitment. Not to the gym, not to some perfect routine. Make a commitment to show up physically, even if it's 2 minutes of stretching in silence. I walk around the block. A quick set of push-ups, standing barefoot on the ground and breathing deeply. Because every movement you make is a vote for the person you want to become. Not a person lost in thought, but a person rooted in their breath, their will, their presence. And soon, your body becomes a symbol of your character, not in appearance, but in rhythm, in steadiness, in intention. So ask yourself, what is my body teaching my mind every morning? Laziness? Avoidance? Excuses? Or courage? Energy? Follow minus through? You get to choose. And when you move in the direction of strength, even when you don't feel like it, you begin to carry that strength into every meeting, every decision, every challenge. Because you've already conquered something before the world even had a chance to challenge you. That is power. That is peace. That is practice. Morning reflections read, write, and reroute the mind. Before the world speaks to you each morning, before headlines, group chats, noise, and demands, you must speak to yourself. You must choose your first voice. Because if you don't, the world will choose for you. And it won't be kind, or helpful, or aligned with who you want to become. The Stoics knew this. That's why they began every day by turning inward. Not for hours, not for drama, but for clarity. They read, they reflected, they wrote. They trained the mind, not just through discipline but through dialogue with wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, carried a journal, not to publish, not to impress, but to face himself. His meditations weren't written for anyone else. They were reminders to stay grounded, honest, awake. He would wake early and write things like, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, remind yourself I am rising to do the work of a human being. Ugh. The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Simple, repetitive, reflective. Because he knew if he didn't anchor his thoughts early, they'd be swept away by ego, by fear, by pressure. So here's the practice before you open your phone. Open your mind. Step 1, read one Stoic line. You don't need a chapter. Just a sentence. Something like, you have power over your mind, not outside events. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. No man is free who is not master of himself. Then pause. Don't rush past it. Let it sit in your body. Ask, what does this mean for me today? Where am I giving away my power? What does mastery look like in this situation? This isn't academic. This is Ray-minus routing your emotional GPS. Because that one sentence can shift your path. It's like adjusting the rudder of a ship just a few degrees in the morning, and you end up in a whole new emotional climate by sunset. Step to reflect on it with a pen. Yes, pen. Not screen. Because writing slows the mind. It forces you to clarify. To choose. Spend just 3 to 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what am I feeling this morning? Or am I overthinking something? What truth do I need to remember? Don't try to be poetic. Don't try to be wise. Just be honest. The Stoics weren't perfect. They were human. They struggled. That's why they reflected. You're not journaling to look good. You're e-journaling to see clearly. One founder I know, Daniel, has built $1 billion- company, and yet he says the most valuable 5 minutes of his day is the moment he scribbles 3 things. What I'm avoiding. What I'm afraid of. One small step I can take today. He says, if I don't write it down, it owns me. If I name it, I own it. That's Stoicism. Not detachment, but direction. Step 3, connect the dots. Now here's where it all comes together. You've read. You've reflected. Now decide. What will I do differently today because of this? The quote is your compass. The journal is your mirror. But action is your alignment. Maybe you realize you've been overreacting to things you can't control. Maybe you notice you're seeking validation when you could be giving yourself permission. Maybe you see that all your tension comes from trying to predict outcomes that aren't yours to decide. Now ask, what would the Stoic me do today? Would they reply with calm instead of ego? Would they let go of a grudge and return to peace? Would they do the hard thing first without needing to feel ready? This is the real magic of morning reflection. It takes thoughts and turns them into character. It takes noise and turns it into clarity. And over time, it does something profound. It rewires your emotional baseline. You become less reactive, more grounded, more decisive, more peaceful. Not because life got easier, but because you got wiser. And the wisdom didn't come from a book. It came from meeting yourself on the page. The page listens. It doesn't interrupt. It doesn't judge. It gives you the rare space to see your mind before it runs wild. And if you make this practice a ritual, not just when life feels heavy, but especially when it feels good, you build resilience. You build identity. You build a self you can return to when everything else gets loud. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 mornings before you check anything, read one Stoic quote. Reflect. Write. And take one action, no matter how small, aligned with that reflection. That's not a routine. That's a transformation. Because as Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Let your morning speak not through what you consume, but what you create. Clarity. Calm. Conviction. And when the day comes that everything feels upside down, when the world hits you with chaos, you'll already know how to come back home. Pen. Thought. Action. Repeat. Evening journaling, honest self minus review. Your day ends the way it began, with a choice. Will you drift into sleep full of mental clutter, unprocessed emotions, and unfinished thoughts? Or will you pause, breathe, and close the day with intention? Most people carry their days into their nights like a bag of bricks. Conversations they wish they'd handled better. Tasks left undone. Moments they barely noticed while they were happening. And so, they lie awake. Not from insomnia, but from unspoken thoughts. Unasked questions. Unaccumulated lessons. But the Stoics had a different way. They believed every day was a teacher. And every night was a sacred ritual of review. Seneca wrote, each evening, I examine my entire day. I look back at what I have done and said, and I conceal nothing from myself. Why should I fear any of my mistakes when I can say, see that you don't do it again, but now I forgive you? That's not self minus criticism. That's self minus liberation. Because the purpose of journaling isn't judgment, it's clarity. It's how you make sense of your life while you're still living it. Let's break it down. Step 1, choose a time. Create a space. Before bed, not in your phone, not on a screen, find a few minutes in stillness. Light a candle. Sit on the floor. Or just close the door and exhale. Create a space where your mind knows, here we slow down. This isn't performance. It's permission. Step to ask the 3 Stoic questions. They're simple, timeless, powerful. What did I do well today? This is about recognition. Where did you show strength? Speak truth. Choose patience over reaction. Acknowledge your growth. Water it with awareness. Where did I fall short? This is not about shame. Where did you let impulse win? Where did ego hijack a moment? Don't excuse. Don't dramatize. Just name it. How will I improve tomorrow? This is the key. One intention. One shift. One choice you'll make to move forward. Don't overthink it. The power is in consistency, not complexity. Step 3. Write without filters. No one's reading this but you. Don't write for perfection. Write for truth. Maybe it sounds like this. I snapped at my partner because I let my stress speak before I could breathe. Tomorrow, it'll pause before I respond. Or, I avoided a difficult task. You'll schedule it first thing tomorrow and remind myself fear shrinks when faced directly. Or even, I wasted 90 minutes on things that didn't matter. I forgive myself. Tomorrow, I choose focus. This is how your mind begins to trust you again. Because when you name your patterns, you reclaim your power over them. And that's the difference between people who repeat their days and those who refine them. Step 4. Forgive. Release. Sleep. This part is often forgotten, but it's essential. At the end of your writing, whisper or write one line. I release today. I begin again tomorrow. Because no matter how imperfect the day was, the Stoic doesn't carry it into sleep like a punishment. They learn and then let go. This is how you wake up light. Focused. Ready. Because you've already cleared the weight of yesterday. Why this practice matters now more than ever. We live in an age of constant feedback, but very little self-minus reflection. We're told what to feel, what to fix, what to fear. But very rarely do we pause long enough to understand ourselves. Evening journaling gives you back your mirror. It helps you see the invisible threads that shape your behavior. It helps you slow the spiral of reaction. It helps you end your day with honesty and begin the next with intention. And over time, something magical happens. You start becoming the kind of person your morning self wants to wake up as. A little more aware. A little more focused. A little more free. That's not a personality change. That's character being carved one honest night at a time. Let me share a real example. David, a former athlete turned executive, once told me, evening journaling is my anchor. It's where I remember who I am beyond the roles, goals, and pressure. Without it, I drift. With it, I grow. He doesn't write essays. Just bullet points. Short notes. Truth in fragments. But those fragments build patterns. And the patterns build identity. And that identity? It becomes armor earned, not imagined. So here's your invitation. Tonight, before the screen, before sleep, take 5 minutes. Ask yourself those 3 questions. Write with honesty. End with forgiveness. And let that be your final act of the day, not reaction, but reflection. Because when you live like this, you don't just survive your days. You study them. You shape them. You elevate them. And in doing so, you rise not only in skill, but in soul. Gratitude, forgiveness, the invisible weight you can finally release. Some mornings feel heavy and we don't always know why. We wake up with tightness in the chest, a sense of unease, a mind already racing before our eyes fully open. There's no crisis, no specific reason, just heaviness. And yet, when we pause long enough, we realize something. We are carrying emotional debts we never chose to settle. Moments we didn't appreciate. People we never thanked. Words we never said. Hurts we never released. We drag these invisible weights with us from day to day, until the body feels tired, the mind feels cluttered, and joy feels like a luxury. But the Stoics offered us a tool, or rather a way of being, a discipline of the soul. To practices so simple, they're often dismissed. Gratitude and forgiveness, not as vague ideas or social media slogans, but as daily mental hygiene. Because just like you brush your teeth each morning, your mind needs cleansing too. And this is how you do it. Let's begin with gratitude. Seneca once wrote, "We should try to be more grateful for what we have than mournful for what we lack." Simple, but powerful. Gratitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about noticing what's already good despite the imperfections. It's shifting the spotlight of your awareness from what's missing to what's quietly sustaining you. the warmth of your blanket, the safety of the room you're in, a memory that still makes you smile, a friend who stayed, a chance to try again today. You don't need a miracle. You need perspective. Because when you see clearly, you stop taking your life for granted. That's the disease most people live with, not illness, not poverty, but habitual ingratitude. They become blind to their own abundance. Gratitude reverses that blindness. And it doesn't take much. Just 3 lines every morning. Today, I'm grateful for, not for big things, for true things. I'm grateful for hot water. I'm grateful my hands still work. I'm grateful for the conversation I get to have today, even if it's uncomfortable. This practice reorients the brain. Neurologically, it activates the prefrontal cortex, enhancing resilience, lowering anxiety, and strengthening long-term emotional stability. And spiritually, it softens you, because you stop approaching the world with demand and start approaching it with reverence. Now, forgiveness, the harder part. Forgiveness isn't popular. It doesn't go viral because it's private, quiet, unseen. But it may be the most courageous act a human being can perform. To forgive is to say, this wound no longer defines me. I am done rehearsing the hurt. You don't forget because someone deserves it. You forgive because you deserve peace. Epictetus said, when someone does wrong, it's because they are mistaken about what is good. Respond not with anger, but with understanding. That doesn't mean you excuse betrayal. It means you refuse to carry the poison of it any longer. Every morning, you get a chance to lay down what you've been carrying. The grudge, the bitterness, the old script you keep replaying in your head. Even if you're not ready to make the call, write the message in your journal. Today, I forgive Name for what happened. Not because it didn't hurt, but because I choose to stop letting it control me. That act done sincerely can change the rhythm of your heart. Literally. Studies show that forgiveness reduces resting heart rate, decreases cortisol levels, and improves immune function. But more than that, it returns your dignity. Because no one is strong when they're chained to resentment, and no one is free when they're trapped in unprocessed pain. So how do we practice both gratitude and forgiveness together? Try this. Each morning, write 3 things you're grateful for. 1 person you are ready to forgive or at least soften toward. Then pause. Breathe. Close your eyes. Say, thank you for this day. I will not waste it on bitterness. I will walk light. You'd be amazed how different the world feels when you walk through it unburdened. Your voice softens. Your shoulders drop. You see beauty again in simple, ordinary places. Not because life got easier, but because you stopped dragging the weight of yesterday into today. This is not weakness. It is strength in its most graceful form. A strength that says, I refuse to keep reliving the wound. I choose to live the lesson. Gratitude and forgiveness are the final gates in the morning practice of a Stoic. Because they prepare your spirit, not just your schedule. They remove the emotional clutter that sabotages focus, presence, and peace. They remind you that you already have so much, and you don't need to carry so much. And once you realize that, you become someone very rare. Someone who wakes with a clear mind. Someone who walks without bitterness. Someone who breathes from a deeper place. A person of inner liberty. So tomorrow morning, don't just check your calendar. Check your soul. What can I be grateful for? What pain am I willing to put down? You answer those 2 questions and the rest of your day will answer itself. The 7 Midas Day Stoic Reset, reclaiming yourself morning by morning. So here you are, 12 lessons later. A full journey through the silent, powerful rituals that the Stoics once used not to escape life, but to enter it fully. You've seen how each morning contains a choice. To drift or to direct. To react or to reflect. To live unconsciously or to live deliberately. And what you now hold in your hands isn't just a philosophy. It's a discipline. A practice. A way of reclaiming your mind, your time, and your life before the world decides for you. Let's take one final breath and remember what we learned. Start in silence, reconnect with yourself before the noise begins. Choose a daily virtue, anchor your day in purpose, not pressure. Premedit 80 omalo, mentally rehearse difficulty, and meet it with grace. Circle of control, focus only on what is truly yours to guide. Act before you feel ready, let action lead emotion, not the other way around. Memento mori, live today as if it were your last, because one day it will be. Amor fat, I love everything that happens, and use it to become stronger. Move your body, teach your mind through motion, not just ideas. Read and reflect, nourish your thoughts before you feed on the world's distractions. Journal honestly at night, close each day with clarity and truth. Gratitude and forgiveness lighten the load. Choose freedom over resentment. Each of these is small, but practiced together, they become a system of self-minus mastery. They give you something most people never find in a lifetime, a way to live from the inside minus out. Now, if you're ready to bring all of this into your life, not just in theory, but in action, I want to invite you to something powerful. The 7 Day Stoic Reset. It's simple, and it might just change how you move through time forever. Each morning, for the next 7 days, you'll follow this sequence. 3 minutes of silence, no phone, no talking. Just sit. Choose one virtue, write it down. Live it through the day. Visualize obstacles, what might challenge you today. Prepare now. Name 3 things you can control and 3 things you'll let go. Take immediate action, no delay. Begin something. Anything. Whisper memento mori, remind yourself this day is not promised. Practice amor fati, whatever comes, choose to use it. Move your body, even 5 minutes. Show your mind it's not in charge. Read a Stoic quote, reflect. Write. Connect it to your life. Review your day, what did you learn? What will you do better? Write 3 gratitude and 1 forgiveness and your day light. That's it. No apps. No tracking. Just you, your breath, your will. Why 7 days? Because 1 day is powerful. But 7? 7 builds momentum. 7 teaches your nervous system a new rhythm. 7 gives you space to meet yourself again, not as the stressed, distracted version the world knows, but the deeper you, the calm you, the wise you, the version that doesn't need everything to be perfect because you've already made peace with what is. Now let me be clear. This is not about productivity. This is not about control. This is not even about happiness. This is about becoming undisturbed. It's about building a mind so steady that even chaos cannot rattle it. It's about being able to sit in discomfort and still choose right action. It's about looking at life not with complaint, but with courage. The Stoics weren't perfect. Neither are you. That's the point. What matters is that you practice. You return. You remind yourself, I am not my thoughts. I am not my circumstances. I am the one who chooses how to meet them. That's the greatest freedom. And that freedom begins each morning. So what happens after 7 days? You keep going. Not rigidly. Not religiously. But rhythmically. You live your life like music. With intentional beginnings. Honest endings. And presence in between. And one day you'll wake up and realize. Your mind is calmer. Your reactions are slower. Your choices are cleaner. Your life is simpler. Not because life got easier, but because you became stronger. So tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, don't reach for your phone. Don't rush into your inbox. Don't rehearse the same patterns. Pause, breathe, and whisper to yourself, I begin again with strength, with clarity, with peace. Then live like a Stoic, not in quotes, but in practice. If this message moved you, share it with someone who needs a reset. Someone who's tired of the noise. Someone who's ready to come home to themselves. And, if you haven't already, subscribe for more truths that shift your perspective. Because this journey is only beginning. See you in the next one.